I cannot hear. Dwight, unmute, please.
Ms. Combs,
Here.
Mr. Ricks,
Here.
Mr. Smith here, Mr. Swayze,
Here.
Mr. Underwood.
Present electronically from a hotel room in Goldsboro, North Carolina. There's no one else in the room with me.
All right, I'm just waiting for my agenda to pull up, guys. Sorry, Randy, I'm waiting for my computer to load the agenda.
No worries.
It's just 5.0 anyways, right? Or is it board comments? Sorry, internet's not working today. Okay,
Great.
modification approval of agenda. Can I please get a vote to modify or approve the agenda?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
I'll second.
Roll call, vote please.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye.
All right, open forum. Do we have anyone signed up to speak at open forum?
Negative. I just checked it.
Okay, move on to consent agenda. Can I please get a motion to approve the consent agenda?
So moved.
I'll second.
Thank you. Vote please.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
All
Mr. Underwood.
Aye.
All right, board superintendent comments. Would you like to start? Mr. Swayze?
No, we're going to superintendent first.
Oh, it says the board members are first.
Okay. No, I don't have anything.
Okay, Paul?
Just knowing off of contracts, I just want to say thank you to Mr. McNerney, knowing that this is kind of the last board meeting with him as a permanent employee of the district. Same to Mr. Brett Williams. I want to say thank you as well. I also see that on our agenda tonight, our SRO renewal. He's been absolutely amazing. Today is actually his birthday.
Oh. So
he's done a great job. So I just want to say happy birthday, Deputy Hodge, and thank you to everyone. And we're looking forward to this school year.
okay. Mr. Smith?
So I just want to, give that thank you to Mr. McNerney. It's been a rough year, but he stepped up to the challenge and he's done fair. And then all the staff that have stuck through us throughout this year, which was a tough year. Thank you for that. And as we get ready to prepare for the next year with some new staff that are, awesome to have on board, we'll continue those systems and practices in place and continue that grade 13 readiness. And for those that may be listening, enjoy this time with your kids, take the vacations. Don't let them forget schoolwork. Make sure they read frequently if you can, and be ready to come back in the fall. And we'll get ready to just take charge and do what we do, which is educate your kids to the best of our abilities.
Mr. Underwood?
So, I believe that Mr. Ricks and Mr. Smith's thanks towards Mr. McNerney just doesn't reach deeply enough. We conscripted him, for lack of a better phrase, and we threw him in to the fire. And we always make the joke and about fairly decent job. In all honesty, he has done an absolutely fantastic job this year. Honestly, more, I think, than any of us board members could have ever even imagined that he was going to do. He inherited a very tenuous financial situation And through his rigor and his setting of the priorities for this district, he doubled the reserve fund in this really crazy year. It was your setting of the priorities that made Pat do the work, because I know you're pointing at Pat when I said that. But the point is that an organization, I learned this a long time ago in the Army, takes on the personality of its leadership. And I hope that here in a few minutes, our decision for Tim's replacement has that same continuing effect. So kudos to Mr. McNerney. Thank you. Oh, and I forgot to mention that current projections indicate that we're going to double the reserve fund again next year and then some. So it's really about 2.5 times. So it was his emphasis and his priority on the finances and Pat's yeoman work that has dug us out of where we were. Let's be honest with everybody, okay? We were at the point where we were concerned whether or not we were actually going to be able to pay the bills. And we don't have that concern on a month-to-month basis anymore. And that is, again, to the credit of Mr. McNerney and Mrs. Petrikaitis. So kudos to them. And I can't tell you how grateful I am to you, Tim, for stepping in, even though we really didn't give you much of a choice. And thanks for putting up with me with my phone calls and ungodly hours and time off and all that fun stuff. I believe one time I interrupted you when you were in Hawaii or something, I guess. Another joke, inside joke. But again, I can't, they're really, my words are coming up short for the amount of appreciation that I have for your dedication to this district. And I'm sorry to see you go, but don't let the door hit you on the way out.
Okay. Are you done?
Yes, ma'am.
All right. Well, I don't know how I'm supposed to follow that. So I do want to say thank you to you.
Dwight, don't mute. I can't hear.
Hi. And I appreciate everything and all the hard work. And you took it with a grain of salt when you stepped in with the mess that you inherited. And I know my daughter appreciates you and respects you. She speaks highly of you. That means a lot to me as a parent in the district and not only as a board member. I'm proud that we had you. I wish you nothing but the best in the future. I know your wife is excited. She's going to have you back. So enjoy your time, enjoy your future, and definitely keep in contact and come visit if you're ever out on the prairie. Mr. Williams, I wish you nothing but the best in retirement. And then I also want to say thank you to the new administration coming in. I am confident that we have made the right choices and put the right people in the right places. I'm excited to see where the future will go. And I hope that this summer, time gives you the time to get your feet wet and gets us ready to hit the ground running this next school year in August. I just want to say to the parents, I hope that you guys are enjoying the summertime with your kiddos. I know that this last year, this long awaited 8 weeks has probably been needed for not only the kids, but your mental health as well. So enjoy the time, and we look forward to what the future holds. Thank you, everybody. All right, I guess we get to move on. All right, acting interim superintendent comments.
Well, first, thank you. I don't know how else to say it. The Blueberry on the Prairie, when I was driving down Sunday night, and I had submitted my concerns to the board and said, rural America, we're in trouble. And Mr. Smith called and said that I think it was 8:30 at night, and said, "I'm hearing you're feeling a little blue." Kidding. But it's exactly what I needed. I had to hear that. Pat and I just said with the new administration coming in, if you can't laugh, you cry. And so the board has supported me beyond belief. I could not have done anything I did without your support. So thank you. From that, then I will transition to the new regime. And I'm excited about that. We hired a new JSHS principal. We had 9 applicants, got a committee of 9. He went through the process, and it was unanimous, without question, amongst the committee members who our top vote was. And so with that, he comes, ironically, he has a history in Jeffco, Pueblo, Colorado Springs. He's everywhere. And he is doing, I'm just looking in the mirror, because when Mark and I talked and I called him and said, what do you want to be a Hornet? It's like looking in the mirror. He wants to be here, and where he is in the evolution of his career. And I mean, I called my wife that night and said, I'm looking in the mirror. I'm a little nervous for him, but what he's shown already, he has been to graduation. He's been to our final day. He has a life. He's not even done with 70. Are you done with Pueblo yet? And here he sits injured.
Oh, no.
You have commitment and intelligence and experience, and I couldn't feel better, and I hope you don't either. Yeah, you're in good shoes. So I will introduce Mr. Mark Koopman, if you want to say anything.
Thank you, Mr. McNerney. Don't worry, Pat, this injury took place before I got on contract. So
I was gonna ask.
We have a lot in common. One thing is that you have no idea what I'm about to say, and really neither do I. But honestly, again, my thank you for putting the trust of not just yourselves, handlers of District 28, but also of the children and the teachers that work here in the school district, putting that trust in me. It carries a weight, but it means a lot at the same time. And I understand what that takes. It's been a pleasure meeting the people of the district that I have met already. It's been wonderful. They've been very accepting, and I greatly appreciate their outreach hands welcoming me into your family already. So thank you for that. I just want to make sure, again, that I'll let you know that Hanover does feel like home. As Mr. McNerney said, we have a lot of things that have crossed paths, but for a boy that grew up in southeast South Dakota, on the plains of South Dakota, this looks and feels like home. So I hope you understand that this was not a reach for me. This really goes back to my beginnings in education. My first class had a graduating class of 11. And when I came and had a graduating class of 8, I just said, this is it. This is where I belong. So I understand what is in front of me. And I really do appreciate the opportunity to be here tonight, as well as whatever comes next. We are headed in the right direction. We are going to be doing some great things, and we are going to have some fun along the way. So thank you again. I really appreciate that. Tonight, again, I can't tell you that I didn't get here by myself. District McNerney said sometime in Jeffco, really, we have some history, really ourselves. And then again, just being on the plains. But my wife and my family supported me through these decisions and all the moves, not just from South Dakota to Colorado, but even from there to Hanover now. So I appreciate it and love her and my kids for that. Without them, this doesn't mean anything. So, and then I can't say anything without saying happy birthday to my dad today. So,
Nice.
so anyway, we're never far from family. And that really is the feeling that I want to bring with me as well. That family means a lot, and we're going to be together a lot. I'll be here more than 12 to 14 hours a day, so that means I'm here more than I'm going to be in my own home. So I don't take that lightly. And as I said, thank you and my appreciation. But come August, it's time to go.
Awesome.
Thank you all. Really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mark. Then, on the better side of that is going to be our new hire for Dean. The universe is smiling on us a little bit. We, with our budgets, obviously put in a template of what we need to follow for a little bit. And that did not include an administrator as I had and was blessed with. So we employed a dean. And then we found out we got more than that. The new dean is actually the secretary of the BFL. He's from Edison, Jeff Jordahl. And Mr. Koopman was part of that same team that hired Mr. Koopman, unanimous. And he was here in a day, maybe two, to sign his contract. It just, the energy is what we're trying to bubble here. So it's bubbling. I just can't say enough. His athletic experience, his knowledge was restorative practices. It's one thing to be disciplined, and that is the stigma with Dean, but he actually brought in some without prompted thoughts on promoting education to prevent discipline problems, the restorative justice practices we've been working 3 years on. He's been a teacher for 20 years. I did a little homework and checked on his social studies teaching. Holy cow, this guy can teach. So now we have a mentor for a couple of our new teachers. We got, and Jeff, I'm just gonna hope that you listen to this because we got a gift right now. And I am just so excited. Things are going the right way. So I do have to tell you, I'm not leaving and I'm gonna stay.
And the joke's on us.
Just but we have got a lot of great things happening. And so I will say, Mr. Koopman and Mr. Jordahl, we got gifted. He is working on getting his type D. So as we invest in our people, he's going to stay here for a while. He has told us. Mr. Koopman said he's going to stay for a while. We're setting up a pattern, and that's part of what we want. With that, then, Mr. Chuck today came across some very good news. We got a little bit of a gift for football equipment in the tune of about $1,250. Chuck has been just working so hard. We got jerseys and helmets we put together and got this year, but equipment is still lacking a bit. And Chuck has just been adamant about getting our kids equipment. So we got $1,250, all thanks to Chuck's work today.
Thank you, Chuck.
Kudos to him. Thank you.
Thank you.
It wasn't just me, Mr. Polish put down too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you to him.
Yes. Graduation seemed like 2 months ago, didn't it? I don't know why, but for some reason. That was, Brett and I debriefed a little bit with Sean and Pat afterwards and said that was, you just stare off it at the hills and go, that couldn't have gotten any better. The entire board was there, the kids were there, the parents were there, and we had kids actually saying, this could be something we could do all the time.
Mm-hmm.
Too cool. That's what we're trying to do, is change it up a little bit for what kids want, not what we want, but what for kids want. And graduation, I mean, you all can speak to it. You were there. I thought it was wonderful. So thank you for your support with that. Budget, we're going to talk about here in just a bit, so I won't bore you with that. We have one more item. As we try and grow our staff, we have an opportunity, speaking of budget, to grow our staff. We have 4 people that we are going to be sending to the, what's it called, Chuck? Grant for Schools, July 6th and 7th in Aurora. The takeaway with this is they're going to get networked and learn how to write a grant, but they're actually going to write a grant while they're there. Now, money, we don't know, but they're going to have a takeaway and they're going to get a network. So throughout the year, Miss Cheeseman's going, Miss Besson from Hanover's going, and Chuck and his assistants are going. And really, those are the angle. You got all parts of it represented to write grants. And we've talked about that since I've been here. Now we have a chance. Chuck came to me and said, look at this. I said, whoa, we got to go. So we're going to be writing some grants. We have the people to do it, and we're going to be sustaining our budget the right way. These are things I didn't plan on, either that. But when you got people that are saying, hey, guess what? It's just beautiful. So look forward to that this June, July 6th and 7th. Last item is COVID. We have, and I know it's without kids and staff and quarantines and all the whole thing, it's kind of nice to be quiet for a bit. We sat on a Rural Alliance call every Wednesday at 8 o'clock, and we're advised by the attorneys and Colorado Department of Health, watch out for this fall and just be ready. The trends are the 12 to 18-year-olds and vaccinations and all the variables put with that. So I will just say to you, right now, everything's good, and we're going to hope that it stays that way. But as Chuck and I have been preparing just in case, quarantining will not be the same. That I'll promise you. The state promised you. How that looks, they're trying to give more autonomy to districts instead of here is the overlying rule and you have to. So that's good. But the masks and all that, we're waiting to see. Just an update for you. But we will be prepared.
Thank you.
And that's what I have.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate it. Next is the DAC report to board. I didn't see a report in the packet, so I don't
Ma'am.
believe we have one. Yes.
Ma'am.
Yes.
So she sent the report to the board members
Yes, in the email.
via email and did not put it in the board packet. So if any board member has a question about the DAC report, feel free to follow up with the DAC chair via email. She had a work conflict, as did her co-chair.
Okay. Thank you, Randy. All right. Anyone have any discussions on that? All right, we're going to 8.1 discussion items. It's the AER2 first read, which we're looking at. This is the move forward with the edits necessary for second read, and this is for the DAC to have bylaws. It looks like the board assistant had put it together from several different DACs around the state and had combined them. Hopefully everyone was able to review them. I read it. I believe that it looks good in my opinion. I liked it. I want to say thank you to the board assistant for working on it and coming up with it. I like that the DAC is meeting bylaws now. It just makes it a little bit more formal. Does anyone have any discussion on this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
So at the last DAC meeting, they punted this to next month. So so the version that we see next month at second read may be significantly different. They haven't had a chance to staff it themselves. This was just a straw man for them to work from.
Okay. Is everyone comfortable with it moving to the second read?
I think we should keep it, if it's gonna change that much, I think we should keep it a first read.
First read and come back to the discussion item.
Because some of it, they were saying.
Okay.
The only problem with that is that in those bylaws, there's certain dates that the DAC has to do things. And we may have to do temporary approval first read next month to facilitate those deadlines. unless they change the deadlines.
Okay.
Because according to the draft bylaws as they read right now, next month they're supposed to come with new DAC membership for the year.
Okay.
And I would think that if they want to change it, they probably should change those deadlines to help themselves out.
I concur, but it's up to them.
Yeah.
All right, are we ready to move on? Any other comments, discussion? All right, moving to 9.0, action items. We got 9.1, 2021, 2022, proposed budget, second read.
I'll make a move.
Either.
He froze.
He froze.
He's not even there. He dropped off. Looks
Okay,
like he's coming back.
do we have a motion to move forward with action item 9.1?
Motion to approve.
Do we have a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you. Discussion.
Okay. So, after we proposed on the 19th, our original draft, our proposed budget, I shared the proposed budget with the DAC for feedback, and did a town hall on June 10th, and no necessary adjustments were recommended, which we spent an hour and a half here that night, and the questions were good. We've got a new system created with buckets to ease process, not fidelity of number, just process. And they asked some very good questions, poignant questions. Would you agree?
Yeah, it is.
And so the education is part of what we're here for, is you can't ask questions if you don't know what you're asking questions about. So that's what we've tried to do this year. With that, then, as was noted on my May 19 presentation, we have implemented systems. You guys, you all have heard me say repeatedly, systems. We have, I think, empirically now, proof systems work. These systems include stuff like policy enforcement, constant progress monitoring, i.e. reconciling, business services, facilities, food services, administration, faculty, staff. We have spent this year getting those systems to comply with what we're doing. I know that sounds very militant, but the staff and department managers, I mean, you'll see in just a second, it's working. We have ESSERS 1, 2, and 3. We had CARES. We have property tobacco. We had small rural achievement. We had consolidated app we just finished today. We have the impact aid, property taxes, local shares, state share, local sources, the transportation. Those are all our revenue sources. The ESSERS 1, 2, and 3 really are where you're going to see in just a second. We played a little chess with to backfill and get us compliant with state mandates. And what Randy was talking about earlier and getting our Fund 10 where it needs to be, considering July, August, and September, where we looked at each other and said 0% loan, we got to go get one. We're not sure we're going to make payroll. That is where, again, I will reiterate in just a second what we've done for process. When you read this, it's important you do this. That is, first, I'm going to ask the board to approve the following priority items included in the original budget, updated a little bit. And that is, we are going to, for the first time in 2 years, propose salary increases. And that's part of our mission and vision for retention. good Lord, nobody deserves it more than everybody here. I mean, I just can't say that enough. So that number came out roughly for certified, classified, and department managers, directors, to 6.83%. With that, then, as I said to you the first time, the certificated staff got salary plus 1 step. We got ourselves on a plane to play now because when people went and looked, our base was far below anybody else. We're now, and Pat and I took a rural sampling and got us pretty close. We'd like to do more. We're not done. But for right now, to keep us good to go, classified's got 2 full steps. And I will tell you, there was some outstanding situations we made exception to. We had a couple of people that have been here many years making less than people that have been here 2 years. And we fixed that. That is wrong, in my opinion. So we fixed that. So that to me is again about the retention and loyalty. Yeah, we got 60 employees, and do we have time? Hell yes, we do. And I'm sorry for the language, but I'm just going to tell you, those are the things people will say, you value me. It's not where I want it, but it's enough to say we value and we know you're there. And so we did take some exception and get some people where they needed to be. With that, then, it's important to note the 11 teachers got an 8.29 increase, classified 9.19, admin 6.34, Widefield 6.75 across the board, Pueblo 60, 4.2 across the board. These are all numbers a month ago. I'm guessing they went up. I don't know. Elizabeth 4.3. We did our homework to say, are we out of our mind? What are we doing? And really, when we did the homework, we found we're pretty normal, which is okay. Normal for us this year, I would have been happy with 3%. But where we've gotten with the aforementioned systems allowed us this sustainably. It's incredible. You have heard me say now for a number of months with Ms. Petrikaitis, we have built in and are putting stabilization factors with system, not money, system. So it's not a flash in the pan. This isn't going to be, good Lord, what happened last year. This we've got through 2024, and we can't control the market, but if we go status with everything that we anticipate, I'm feeling very confident with these actions that we can sustain them. Ms. Petrikaitis, you have the budget up.
The only thing I want to note about the change, there was only a slight change in revenue when after the House bill passed, the school bill passed. And that is our property taxes actually went up some, but that then causes our state share to go down. But net we actually gained about $35,000, which is because they are counting the at-risk students. Basically, they're counting 2 different pools of money here. And our pool was about $35,000. So our state share actually went up. But all said and done, we're looking at 5.1 million in revenue for this coming year. And then expenses, we've worked really hard to manage where our expenses were this year. And, we're still, the projected column here is just that it was to date through June 2nd. And then it's extrapolated out for the end of the year with the additional payroll accruals and that kind of thing. So this is where we're looking at basically 3.4 million expenses to end this year. Next year, we're looking at 3.7 in expenses ending the year. And that's taken into doing some of the maintenance and upkeep and things around here that have been basically neglected for several years, trying to just keep it going here. So we've been able to put a lot of things back into the budget, and with the CARES money and that kind of thing, it's excuse me, the CARES money isn't for next year, but the ESSER's money and everything is helping us be able to take care of these needs and maintenance and things that have been let go that we need to get addressed, and then still be able to sustain it after that money's gone.
So if I can piggyback just for a second on, when you look at this big picture, the middle school has, since I'm aware, only had 2 teachers to teach 4 contents and no electives except the arts, the draw. And I'm not downplaying that, but as we address whole child, we're not. This money, I will be happy to tell you, we now have 4 middle school teachers in the middle school content, and we are set to go. That changed our master schedule for electives like you don't know.
Yes, Aspen was super excited about that. Her and Jenna, I've heard about it all summer.
It's
They were even
cool.
talking about the electives last night.
So the trickle effect, the high school doesn't understand when we do this, what it frees up at the high school. And that we will, the new principal will show when he comes back is what this freed up for the high school for elective. So I am pleased to announce with this budgeting process, and I didn't mean to steal your time, Pat, but it's just extremely exciting that we now are one-to-one device and spares. We now have 4 complete teachers. PHE now is fully staffed. So let's not forget them. Fully staffed, they have a instructional coach and ELL, finally. And the high school now has an ELL interventionist full-time. This has not been here, and we have to address those needs. That's what this money has done. With that, along those lines then, we also have said we're going to get the buses, we're going to get the bus barn, our healthcare. We got feedback. Good Lord. Change is hard. You all saw my email. Second order and first order changes. I get it. I tried to keep it at first order, but we actually got a couple of emails back from staff saying this was the best ever. The portal changes things. Next year, I will just put it out there. We are going to be looking at Alchemy and some other Peak View, Peak Med. We've got to get better service for the money we're paying. And we've got help, and Mr. Kuby, our broker, we changed processes, which was hard, but the feedback we got, I really was expecting not to be able to sleep this last weekend. I still didn't, but that's not the point. It went well. Did you not think?
Oh, absolutely.
So
And the new
we're
portal
moving.
helped.
We're moving the right way, and that's exciting. The systems, he won't say that as much as me, but it is working. It is working. And empirically, it's not my judgment anymore. It is working, and that's happening. So I apologize, Pat.
Oh, go on, please. The only other thing I'm looking at is I moved on to the capital budget, where we're looking to do, $185,000 in additions, improvements, that kind of thing. So that's already into our budget. So it's, not something that we have to go back and say, oh, can we get more money out of the general fund for? This is already all accounted for in the general fund with the transfers and everything. That is one other thing I would like to point out, though I should have before. Back here to, there's where down at the bottom here where they have the transfers. I made a second line this year because, as you know, 2 years transfers have not been made to other funds to cover expenses, and that's where we wound up, with funds in the deficit. I intend to, before this month is over, make the transfers that are required to bring those funds where they need to be, or at least bring them up to where they are not in a deficit situation. And that's why there's 2 different line items here, because this is the set of funds that should be moved for this year's And this second one down here, what is going to be the catch up, as I've called it here, to be able to catch up with those other funds so that we're where we need to be. And with that said, we're still able to put 212,000 to the bottom line this year, which brings us up to 418.
Yes, it is amazing. Thank you. Thank you so much to both of you for all of the work that you have done.
Thank you.
And, all the departments as well that have cut their spending and did what they needed to do to help you guys. So this is just
Well, and
phenomenal.
just to see that they all took an interest, they cared.
Yes.
Which just shows that everybody here does care, and it's not just, a paycheck to them. It matters to them. Melissa was devastated when she had a fund with a negative balance, and how do I fix that, and what happened? I just sit her down and back her off the cliff. So
She came into my office middle of the day, I'm going, what is wrong? I thought somebody had passed away, and I'm not exaggerating, unless if you're watching. And sat down and started crying and said, did you see my balance? And that's what we have in this district. People have said, we want to help. So it's cool.
Amazing.
It's super cool.
So this is, you guys have heard me talk about my buckets, because the whole let's budget it by everybody's individual 15-digit kind of thing is tedious. It's not fair to the department managers, because they then feel like they have no say. And if they didn't need $16,000 in textbooks this year, but they needed something else, then either the coding was incorrect on what they really needed, or they're begging forgiveness from these funds and things. So that's where I've looked at breaking them into these buckets. And this is arranged where up here where the regular instruction is. Each one of these lines up exactly with the expenses in this budget line here. So your regular instruction, so that you can kind of look at it side by side. And I made sure everything tied out. All of the blue, there's a line here that says the discretionary budget, the discretionary funds. This is where I have done the initial allocation to the lines here. And when the department heads get their budget and they're looking at it, and we can get into deeper, what they'll be shown what GL accounts roll up into these different buckets, so they know what it's applying to. But it's much easier to move some funds from one of these to one of the others than it is to move $50 out of this one item and 100 out of here, trying to figure out how to make this up. Because it really wasn't, it's tedious, it's time consuming, and it wasn't fair to the department heads who don't understand what that coding means really when it comes down to it. And I'm the one that has to look at it and explain it to the auditor. So it just made a whole lot more sense to do it this way and give everybody theirs and say, tell me how you need this. And to build accountability in the department managers that this is yours, and you deserve the budget to be able to do what you need to do.
So part of this process, Pat and I were talking, is the autonomy. The line item is there. Here is your bottom line. But the autonomy of prior system did not allow you much flexibility as a building principal, as a department manager. Are they important? Yeah. But the key to all of this is allowing and training how that is to be spent, and then the progress monitoring. That's the anchor to all of this, is the progress monitoring. And as we roll this out, we are going to, for sure, be spending some time in August getting department heads first, principals, and then delegating out just like we did this year. But that autonomy, I can't say that enough, is really important, I think, as a building principal and department manager. Is, do I have to go to you for every flex spending? No, but you got to be accountable. And that's what those buckets align to. So again, I apologize.
Oh, please. I get in my own little world. It's like, does anybody have any, questions or?
No, this is just amazing.
Yeah.
I want to say it's one of the most comprehensive reviews we've had.
Yes.
And just want to thank you for the time and dedication put into it.
Yeah, I don't think everybody needs to be, educated to be able to understand it. And, like I say, government jail codes don't mean much to a lot of people.
And this just goes back to the transparency factor, I mean, it's amazing. We can understand it. We can line this one up with the other chart and do the side by side like you were saying. I think that's easy for the community, for the staff. Thank you for all of your work. I mean, I can't say that enough. Really.
It's an Excel, it's no world.
Yeah, so the key to this though, in order for this to actually work, is we need that accountability where we can see that also. So that goes to the monthly reports, the quarterly reports. And we got to review those and ask questions. So it's going to take the whole district to make it work. But my charge to the administration is that at least until November, I'm going to be looking at those reports. And this scares me a little bit because it's changed. But I do like the autonomy of holding people responsible. But you bet I'm going to trust but verify, as we all should. So
That's kind of what we've been charged.
exactly. So
But you've been presented with something.
So I don't really have a question. I have a prompt, if you will, because I've talked with about that exact same topic, Mr. Smith, with both Mr. McNerney and Mrs. Petrikaitis. So please, Pat, tell us, once the fiscal year starts, how often you're going to be double checking things and for how long, and then when it's going to spread out and things like that.
Well, I'll be monitoring it. My goal is to be pulling reports on a weekly basis so that I can, keep a close eye, especially since this is new to everybody. I need to monitor it very closely. But reports will be produced monthly for the department heads to know what they have and what they spent. By the same token, if they need to move funds, I'm going to draft a form where they're going to have to put in, why they need to move funds or where they need to move it to, so that it's all tracked and not just willy-nilly, you said you needed funds for this. And I don't work that way, so there's accountability to all of that also.
But Randy, with that, you and I talked last Friday, is the business model and tier of communication will be implemented with Fidelity. So it will start with the staff and people that are working for departments and communicated to advisors, to department head, to principal, to commander-in-chief. And that process we have spent all year working on. It's not perfect, but it is working. And that's going to be implemented with Fidelity. We're not going to let this thing go astray. That I'll promise you.
I get a question, Pat. When you allow me to come in so you can show me what the heck you're talking about?
Did you know the way to my door?
Okay, I want to know that, so if I walk in there, I can see exactly what Chuck is spinning. And to follow them, what I'm trying to say, I want to know. Since I'm a trader, I don't want these guys coming back and asking me questions and I don't know what's going on.
Hey, Ed, I have a question.
See? Good, you hear all this?
Yeah, you know where my door is, right?
All right, come down for
Just make sure you bring it.
That's what I was going to say.
it. You will, I didn't know.
She's not cheap.
Okay.
What else can we answer, please?
I think it's a good comprehensive
I do too.
budget, and a lot of thoughts were put into it of how we actually do business instead of it just being a bunch of numbers. And that's important too. It's the why behind the what. And I think you guys have done a great job of getting that out there. And I look forward to seeing the success.
Well, and I think as we become more familiar with the system, I know part of the board packet, more questions may arise. But right now, I don't have it.
I don't have any currently.
You guys know where my email is or my door.
Yes.
Thank you.
My pleasure.
And you know where my restaurant
I do.
Well, thank you. I can't thank enough, and I know you get sick of me. After we made a
So moving on, we have to do the resolution, correct? All right, are you gonna do it? It's not on paper, huh? Okay. Resolution of the Board of Education of Hanover School District 28 regarding the 2021-2022 budget. Whereas Colorado Revised Statute 2244-1071 states, the Board of Education of each school district shall adopt an appropriation resolution at the time it adopts the budget. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the Board of Education of the Hanover School District 28 that the amounts shown in the following schedule be appropriated to each fund as specified in the amended budget for the fiscal year beginning July 1, 2020, and ending June 30th, 2021.
Point of order, ma'am.
General fund, including transfers. Appropriation, $4,735,269. Transfer to preschool fund, 0. Transfer to pupil activity fund, 6,365. Transfer to food services fund, 20,000. Transfer to capital reserve fund, 279,160. Preschool fund, 101,286. Designated purpose / grants fund, 184,100. Pupil activity fund, 5,000. Bond redemption fund, 753,275. Food service fund, 130,000. Capital reserve fund, 0. Total appropriation, 5,155,655. Adopted the 16th day of June 2021 by a vote of, let's cast our vote.
Point of order, ma'am.
Yes.
Ma'am,
Yes.
it's the proposed budget, not the amended budget. That's a typo on my part. I apologize.
Okay.
That's good.
You're talking about where it says now therefore be resolved. That's it.
Yes, ma'am.
Do I need to read?
No, you're fine,
Okay,
because it wasn't a motion. It was just a clarification of the original motion.
okay. Thank you, Randy. All right, are we ready to vote?
Believe so.
Secretary, please call the vote.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood,
Aye.
Motion passes unanimous. Thank you. All right, let's move on to 9.2 staff leave policies, GBGG, GCD, GED. The cover sheet, it states, this goes back to what we've been working on for the last few months.
we need a motion first.
Oh, I didn't vote, sorry. Can I please get a motion for 9.2?
So moved.
Improve that, not two. So when you go to sleep.
Randy, you got a second?
Fair.
All right, this goes back to what we've been discussing for the last few months, where we had a group of staff that had worked diligently on this. It's approving the following policies to be effective July 1st, 2021. It is GBGG, combined sick and personal leave, GCD, which is a certified staff personal leave. We will now reference back to GBGG, and GDD, classified staff personnel leave. We're also referencing back to GBGG. We essentially had combined them all with the help. Many of the staff and faculty had expressed concern when we approved it the first time back in December, and they definitely worked, and they worked hard on it, especially Mr. McNerney. It looks like we had approved it previously, and this is the second read, correct? Yes. Do we have any discussion or concerns?
I think we already reiterated our thankfulness to those who contributed to it. I'm glad it was a team effort. I'm also glad as a board that we looked at it again, said, hey, let's look at it, do our best to take care of those who take care of our kids.
Yes.
So there may be, I talked to Mr. McNerney about this, there may be some future enhancement of this policy where we specify administrator leave versus their contract language of vacations and all that kind of stuff. So that's something we need to look into. It's too late for this year because the contracts are already signed for the administrators. For the principals. But we may want to clarify where administrators fall in this policy or add a new section to address where administrators fall. Just future work.
Awesome.
Yeah, Randy and I talked about this a couple of times. And again, getting back to alignment vertically throughout the district, that's part of what was brought. And I agree with him. So when we go forward July 1 to 2021 to 22, we will reference and use this as a staple because the administrative lens is a little differently and we want to align it if we are going to go equity for everybody. So that will be next year.
Thank you. All right. No more discussion, comments? Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
All right.
Okay. Moving on to 9.3. It looks like it's to approve the contract for the SRO.
I'll make a
School
motion to
Resource
approve
Officer.
9.3.
Thank you. Do you have a second? All right. Thank you. Discussion, comments? Sorry.
We get some of the money back since we're not in school the whole time.
Did I hear a motion to approve? Yes.
Just because we got a contract, doesn't mean we should have to pay for all that time when we went to school.
Well, in actuality, there was, no, it's not that personal person. It's part of what we embraced with our school and staff. And that when you're on quarantine, does that knock off your sick leave? Well, no, by statute, it does not.
That's not. But they're also teaching our children when we're in quarantine. They're still
Well,
working.
many of them are,
SROs not.
by statutes, they are not entitled to ours. Many did.
But isn't the SRO still under contract? So say if something had arose with one of the online classes, he's on call.
He's actually
So
done
therefore-
duty because he was doing duty.
Yes.
But hey, JJ, we got a situation at the school and who knows, somebody broke in, somebody, whatever, he's there
Or
on
what
the
if
spot.
there was
So,
something the teacher had seen online, one of the,
something.
I mean.
Because actually, you bring that out, Danielle, we did have a student in a class that we did have to refer. Safe details happen all the time, blah, blah, blah. But I understand your concern. It's not free money, but it is what we had to embrace this year. And certainly, we're open for negotiation. I know he's got a new commander, and
Are
if
we
that's
doing
something,
The same SRO.
same SRO, different, he's got a new boss.
Okay.
So when we go to negotiate that contract, that's a valid point is, hey, when we're on quarantine, we're not going to be next year. I don't know if you've heard that.
Until fall numbers come out.
Yeah, but that is something.
We all got shots. Why should we be? I agree with that. We're not on that
Not going
subject.
politics right now.
We're not on
But
that subject.
so staying to the point where people still like me. With that, that's a negotiated item. Certainly we can bring up if you want to jet me a mail. It's not too late because we haven't signed. Well, we will sign this one, but it can be amended.
What's his birthday? I don't think we should be like, we're gonna take some of your pay.
I don't think it goes directly to the
He gets paid either way. If you're negotiating, I would think that reasonably, we should have like a retainer fee possibly of 25% of the daily rate, but if we're not in school, he's not out here. We know that. So if he's not out here and we're paying him, then the county is getting money twice.
Yes.
Or they're using our employee, then we should send him, he should be at home.
Well, and we share JJ with Ellicott. So,
Right.
absolutely. If you have suggestions, send it to me.
I'll send that, because I think that'd be reasonable.
Sure.
To me, at least it is a 25% retainer. Because I don't think we should take everything, but at the same time, he's patrolling the streets of the county when he's not here because we're closed. And basically we're paying his salary when he's not in our part of the county probably.
I understand. Please, he's welcome to feedback.
On another topic, I know before we had JJ, we had the discussion where it was kind of a touchy subject. Should we renew? We don't ever see him, not involved. Ever since we've had him, he's been a blessing.
Yeah.
Kids know him, kids love him, he interacts. He is absolutely phenomenal. He comes to sporting events. That's not part of what he has to do. It's definitely more than I could have ever asked for. And when we are in school, it is definitely money well spent.
Yes. I mean, I know in the mornings he's here as the kids get off the bus, and I drop my daughter off a couple times because she had missed the bus, and he was there, high five and good morning, and she had nothing but good things to say. I mean, she likes him, and I had a lot of good feedback from a few different students
He
about
got
him.
up at lunch and plays the guitar for the kids.
Oh,
I'm not
Wow.
kidding.
that's cool.
He was at prom.
He's very relatable to the students.
Yeah, this is a exceptional part of our community, but I do understand your concern.
And with all that, he still holds himself to that level of professionalism
Yes.
of doing his job. And it's been great to have another influence as a positive influence to our students.
Thank you, Matt.
And it looks like, just for people to get out there, this duration of the agreement will be from 7/1/2020 to 6/30/2022. Our portion, we will be splitting him with Ellicott. Our portion is 40%, and I believe it is just over, it's about 29,000. 28.4. My screen went crazy, the internet's spotty. So we are splitting him and we are splitting the cost. The cost to us is only 40%, which I found to be real reasonable.
Used to not be that way. We fought for
Correct.
that. We
Correct.
fought for that.
And I like that he's splitting us between Ellicott, which I believe a couple years ago, we had split him with a school that was a little bit further away. Was that?
Not too tough.
Okay, I'm not sure, but
Yeah, she went clear up to, hey,
that's what I thought. Okay.
before that, the guy had 3 or 4 of them out here.
Yes. So I like that it's the two schools that are closer.
Yeah.
Okay, our cost is $28,847.52.
Can I step up just the conversation about getting credit? I do want to state that when we received the first bill for this year, it should have been about $11,993. Our first bill was $5,937 because they gave us credit for all of last year when it was shut down in March. They did give us credit.
Oh, great.
That's
Nice.
good. That
So,
clears it up.
I kept thinking, something's not right here, and I went back to look, because I thought they had sent us a check, but then it's like, no, there's nothing here. So they did give us credit from March forward when we were shut down for the rest of last year.
Wonderful. Thank you for the information.
Yes, thank you.
And there's no room for that.
No, don't even, yeah,
Nope.
we're good.
Thank you so much, Matt.
That's great,
Yes,
honestly.
yes. That is
Take
okay.
Yes.
All right, any more discussion, comments, concerns? All right, please call for the vote.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye.
All right, moving on to 9.4. It is BEE, and it's our Board of Education regular meeting schedule. It is for the third Wednesday of each month, except December at the Hanover Administration Boardroom, 6:30 p.m. Nothing's changing there. It looks like it'll be July 21st, August 18th, September 15th, October 20th, November 17th, December 15th, January 19th, February 16th, March 16th, April 20th, and May 18th and June 15th. I think it all sounds good, but I will be attending a meeting on my daughter's birthday and my own birthday. So I found that to be quite interesting.
You have a
Oh,
motion?
do we need a motion? I am
Yes.
so.
I'd like to make it.
Do we
I'll
have a
second.
second?
I'll second.
Okay, well, that was all my discussion. I just did it backwards.
So as you mentioned,
I'm
have
sorry,
you mentioned those celebrations for the last 3 years? The board meeting's been on my anniversary,
There you
my
go.
birthday, and tomorrow is my lovely bride's birthday. Normally, it's on her birthday too sometimes.
We all gotta give some.
Yeah, so we all got,
I wasn't complaining. I just found it interesting.
My birthday, you guys called a work session and I was bored to death up at the high school. Nobody said that to me. Let's go.
we were afraid, we didn't think you still had birthdays.
We didn't want to remind you. I'll bring you in. All right.
Wow.
No, green chili.
I don't have.
Take it like cake, bring back green chili.
I have to hook up on green chili, okay?
Green chili on the pig.
Oh, yeah, there we go. All right, any other more discussion, comments, concerns? Hearing none, please call for the vote.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Swayze?
Aye.
Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
Okay, moving on to 9.5. Do I have a motion for 9.5? Administrative assistant to the board.
I'll make a motion to maintain the status quo and retain the volunteer board assistant.
Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion?
I'd just like to say that our system in place with our volunteer assistant has worked really well for this last year. And a lot of work behind the scenes has been done. Our Google Drive is now fairly much updated. And it took some time to figure out what process and how we wanted to do it because I was working with her. Our packages are up to date in that process, and that whole file system has really been revamped and is really up to speed. So I think we got a good one. And as long as they're willing and we have no conflicts, I think that we should keep the volunteer.
I definitely agree.
I agree.
She saved me enough.
And she's very responsive, which is great. And she's
Yes.
done a lot of work.
So Madam Board Assistant, please respond. Madam Board Assistant, please.
I don't think
respond.
she's-
Don't ignore me, you can.
Zoom account here.
You just need to know, sister, you saved me. And I cannot thank you, and that's personal. That I was just telling the new prodigy on July 10th, and I'm just, my wife will attest, crying feverishly. And then our board president, of course, comforted me and said, you got to get this done by 5 o'clock. This was at 7:30 that morning, and I said, what? And I will just tell you, Madam Board Assistant, you have just been a lifesaver. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was a pleasure working with you.
Awesome. Call for the vote, please.
Ms. Combs?
Aye.
Mr. Ricks?
Aye.
Mr. Smith? Aye. Mr. Swayze? Aye. Mr. Underwood?
Aye.
All right, we're moving on to 9.6. So I have a motion to approve the superintendent's contract.
I'd like to make a motion regarding the following resolution, 2021-7, regarding hiring of a superintendent. Whereas the Hanover School District has not had a superintendent on contract since June 2020, and whereas the Superintendent Search Committee recommended 3 finalists, and whereas 1 finalist removed himself from consideration, and whereas the board could not come to financial terms with the board's preferred candidate, and whereas the other finalist has agreed to the board's proposed contract, now therefore it be resolved by the Board of Education of Hanover School District 28 that the district hires Norman K. Cooper as superintendent.
Okay, I'll second.
All right, Mr. Swayze seconded. we have any discussion, comments, concerns?
Yeah, I'd like to thank everybody that was involved in this process from the beginning to the end. The staff members, the community members, Mr. Smith, and especially Mr. Swayze for chairing the search committee. Mr. McNerney for his sage guidance. It's been a long road. I'm happy we're finally here, and many, many thanks to everyone that helped.
And he forgot the board assistant who helped greatly. Otherwise, I would have failed.
All right, any others? Comments, concerns, discussion? All right, call for the vote, please.
Ms. Combs,
Aye.
Mr. Ricks,
Aye.
Mr. Smith, aye. Mr. Swayze,
Aye.
Mr. Underwood.
Aye.
All right. Information updates, 10.1. I want to, well, I guess we can just lump them all into one, right, Randy?
We don't.
Yeah, we usually do.
Updates.
Yeah. Information updates, 10.0.
We don't approve those.
No, any discussion? I want to say thank you. I'm gonna miss your opinion, Mr. Williams. They're amazing, always my favorite part of the packet, always. Sorry, I get involved in all the goings on. You do. So thank you so much. I love him, and thank you to Mr. Hughman. I like that we're getting the right staff in place over there. The update was very good on that. I'm glad to hear that all the end of the year, Prairie Heights went off really good. That the student council over there did just thank you for filling us all in, and I look forward to more. Anybody else? 11.0, other business.
Yeah, I have some business, ma'am.
Okay.
Once Mr. Cooper signs that contract, if someone would scan it to me and send it to me so I can sign it, please.
Okay. Did you guys hear that?
Yeah, before we go any further though,
We would like the new superintendent.
please, I'd like to, let Mr. McCurdy introduce him and he can say something.
Yes.
So.
Let's get you are on the clock.
Are we gonna give Mr. Cooper a chance to make some comments?
Yes. He's going to be introduced by Mr. McNerney, and then he's going to make some comments.
I'm having a really hard time hearing Ed, so.
I'll officially uphold the changing of the name, June 30th. Congratulations. Welcome aboard.
Thank you very much. I would like to thank the board. I would like to thank the search committee. I will tell you, having gone through a number of these, I was extremely impressed with the diligence that was done by the community and by the board. I am beyond thrilled that you have asked me to be your superintendent. Please know I will always put the kids first and the staff first, and I will back my board. And our staff and faculty are critical for our kids. And the time that the board puts in to help me guide and support our staff and faculty in reaching our kids and taking care of our kids is invaluable as well. So I can't wait to get started. I am thoroughly pleased that Mr. McNerney is going to assist me with the transition. I can't thank you enough as I was sitting back talking with your lovely wife about the systems you put in place and the things that I've seen. I am blown away by the gentle handover that I'm getting. And I'm beyond grateful for the status that people at this district in.
You don't know me yet, so you'll change that in about a week.
All right,
And my wife,
I'll change
don't talk to her.
don't talk to her.
We stay together without gossip.
Yeah, I understand, I think you're going to love spending more time there. I know I had this last year with mine, so
Absolutely.
congratulations. And I'm beyond excited, and my door is open to everyone who's listening, and obviously to my board. Any ideas, any thoughts? We're all in this together, and that's what it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Cooper, please join me.
If you want to be bored, we got a meeting tomorrow down at Bosse's. Yeah, 6:30, 6 o'clock.
Is
Oh, what's
that-
that? 6, I think. No, it's tomorrow night. For the board.
That's the board meeting.
At Bosse's tomorrow. No, it's not.
Technically, it doesn't start work till the 1st of July, so let's not already go.
I mean, I'm on that board.
Appreciate it. Let me see what I can.
Sure, we can do some, and I'll sign it.
Thursday after every, not every month. I'd have to look. I don't think we have one.
Okay. Any other comments, concerns, other business?
Can I just bring up Hanover Day this weekend for the new staff? Be great to show up, introduce yourself to the community. Lots of fun and games, tractables, there's gonna be vendors, everything.
What are the times?
The tractor pull starts at 11 Saturday, so the vendors and everything will start showing up earlier. Please show up, have a good time, meet the community.
Did you
You
guys,
don't know that guy, that's TJ.
Yeah.
He's one of our bus drivers, he's a community member around here.
And he's on the park board.
He's on the park
They put
board.
on Hanover.
did you guys requisition the air conditioning this year?
Shoot, it's gonna be hot.
We gave everybody food.
Right? Right?
Okay, this one-
Welcome to the prairie.
Saturday, so it should be engaged.
Yeah, we'll be all huddled into the shelter.
Let's see if we don't get the 60-mile-an-hour gusts for everything.
That's
There
why
you
we
go.
had the first year.
Can I add one last thing of excitement? So Hanover Track
I thought we had.
is Lyman Saturday. We are qualifying for state for the first time, Shauna, in how long? Zane Gilbreth, if you're listening, you could probably tell us, but Saturday is Lyman to qualify for state, but we already have one contender that will be at state. We're waiting for, we have 3. Okay.
What are we qualified in?
800 medley, the 100 and the 200.
Okay, we had that, the last year Zane was coach.
Yes.
There that was.
I believe it was part of Jody Moore's daughter. and
Yes,
Lexi's,
that's exactly what it was. Those
Rhonda.
girls
Yes.
were fast.
Yes.
So it's been a little bit.
It's been a
I would want to say what, 4, 5
Yeah.
years possibly.
while. And then we had, yeah.
Cool, so
Been a
just,
while.
if you get a chance, come out to Lyman. I know kids, when they're sprinting by you, see it,
Yes.
and you don't have to say a word.
And it's
Come out
got,
and support.
and what's amazing is they're doing it in the June heat. Typically track season and state is in May, and at the end of May is state. So they're doing this in this heat, which speaks even more. You know, they're staying hydrated.
You're
They're doing what they have to
recognized
do.
for girl.
And they're going through their summer.
Yes.
And then you still have practice, and
Yes.
have practice tomorrow night.
Do we want to say them out
I
loud?
think we should represent the girl.
There's one individual girl who is the 100 and 200 meter, correct? That's Valeria Diaz. And did I say her name correctly?
Valeria.
Valeria.
Yes.
Okay. And then we have the medley, which is Lexi Ricks, Skylar Ricks, Valeria Diaz, and Alicia Fraser for the medley.
And
So
they
good
did
job,
this
girls.
All through the summer when no kids know nothing.
Yep.
I just kudos to them,
We
but
had a kid ride his bike to practice because he didn't have a rack and he rode his bike to practice.
well, that's not bad. It's 30 miles. Whatever.
Hopefully he lived out here.
And state is next weekend in Jeff.
It is.
In Jeffco.
We already have the
It's not in
times.
Caldwell, huh?
Shauna, we already have the times.
Thursday, I believe they're running about 2:15. And then Saturday, I think Val is running, I think she has some time around 10 and then another time around 2 p.m.
Yep. So
Hopefully
please
everyone heard that.
come and support our Hornets.
Yes, thank
I
you.
promise.
We're a Hornet Nation. Go Hornets. All right, well, we have 12.0 adjournment.
If you go out there, wait a minute, if you go out the limit, go to that little bitty bacon shop right off Bacon. They got absolutely the best cinnamon roll. So
Okay.
go out there for breakfast. That cinnamon roll is the place.
We know where he'll be.
Place out. Yeah. So you gotta go there. It's great.
All right.
Okay, now you're.
All right, 12.0, got a motion to adjourn.
So move to adjourn.
A second. Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Mr. Smith. All in favor, say aye.
All right.